Hey everyone, I'm going to take a little bit of time in this video to go over the course syllabus with you. Okay, so the syllabus can be found in the Getting Started section. If you click on Getting Started over on the left hand side, it'll be the second to last sub-tab. You will also find a link to it for a Word document right underneath this video. So either way you can access it. I would suggest while you're watching this video, maybe pull it up in the Word document, click on that link and pull it up, and that way, you can have this video playing in the background while you scroll through the syllabus along with me. Either way, as long as you go through the information. So we are English 200, it is English composition, right? So there at the top of the syllabus, you'll see my contact information. That is my school email and my personal cell phone number. I give my cell phone number to students, and I'm fine with you contacting me. Texting is probably the best way, and then if we need to arrange a time to chat over the phone, we can certainly do that. But I have 3 kids who are very loud, so texting me is probably the best way to start. The course description. Actually first, let me talk about the book. The book is an e-text, and there will be instructions on how to access that, okay? But it is, if you happen to order a hard copy of it, which you can do that if you want, not through the school, but on your own, and I know it's backwards, but this is kind of what it looks like. Literature and the Writing Process, 11th edition, right? But for the most part, I would expect most of you to have the e-text of it. So it is a composition class. We're going to be looking at how to compose effective thesis statements, how to demonstrate writing skills for standard essay structure, how to write an organized, coherent, essay around a single idea using lots of different supporting techniques. Paragraph structure, including topic sentences, supporting examples, transition sentences, how to do introductions and conclusions for your essay, all the different parts of the writing process, from pre-writing, brainstorming, clustering, things like that, to outlining, drafting, revising, and editing. We're going to look at how to do constructive peer review. We're going to look at how to properly use summary, paraphrase, and direct quotes when you do research. How to make sure that you know how to cite everything properly, any sources you've used in your paper, your in-text citations, and your reference page. This is all going to be in APA format. How to recognize and avoid plagiarism, how to evaluate sources, and how to demonstrate that you can write for an academic audience. So this is, again, it's a composition class. So we're going to learn about all the elements of a basic essay, and we're going to learn the basics of APA format and how to write research papers. Okay, so that's what's in store this quarter. The grading scale for this course, it is a 10-point grading scale. So 90 to 100 is an A, 80 to 89 is a B, 70 to 79 is a C, and 69 or under is failing. You have to have a 70% or higher to successfully pass this course, right? Also want to cover the distribution of grades, which are the categories of grading that we have for this course. The first category are the discussions. There's 1 each week. They are worth a total of 15% of your overall grade. There are assignments each week, traditional assignments. Those are worth a total of 25% of your overall grade. We also have a course project that we will be working on. I'll go into this in more detail in a little bit, but it's essentially a research paper. We will work on it in stages. So, project part 1, or the whole course project is worth 45%. Project part 1 is 10% of that 45. Project Part 2 is 10% of that 45. Project Part 3 is 20% of that 45. And Project Part 4 is worth 60% of that 45. So the course project is worth a substantial portion of your overall grade. And then finally we have a reflective essay that you'll do at the end of the term. That is worth 15% of your overall grade. Okay. Let's see. Remember the attendance policy? You know, I go over how to trigger your attendance up in the Getting Started section, but just don't forget that, you know, you can only miss a certain number of hours before you will be withdrawn from the class. And so it's more than, if you miss more than 2 weeks, you risk being withdrawn from the course. Let's see, going down, you know, get to page 4 here. That's the course outline. This covers everything that we're going to look at each week and all of the assignments for each week. This can be very useful for planning purposes if you're looking to see, you know, like, you know, you're going to have a particularly busy week with your kids one week, or maybe you're thinking of going out of town one week, whatever the case may be. You can use this course outline to help you see, you know, what kind of big assignments are coming up and things like that. But this is a very basic overview of each week, and the information that's given on the outline in the course announcement for each week and on the module tab for each week gives you a lot more comprehensive information as to what material is being covered and what assignments are being assigned. Right? But it is all listed here. If you want to go through it, you can especially see when each project part will be assigned. You know, if there's any specific week you want to look for, you can find it right here. But I'm not going to go through all of that. I just really want to focus in a minute on the major components of the grading. And I will also talk about the course project at that point. Alright, starting on page 6, you'll see the instructor policies. I think the biggest one, the two biggest ones that you want to pay attention to are the late work policy and the plagiarism policy. So my late work policy is 10% off for every week that an assignment is submitted late. I will not accept any late assignments past week 9, because week 10 is a 4-day week. It's very short, and at that point I need to be focused on grading the reflective essays that you'll be doing in the last week. So at that point, once week 9 ends, unless it is very special circumstances that you and I have already agreed to, all late work has to be submitted no later than week 9. Through the term, if you're submitting work late, again, the policy will be 10% for every week that it is late. I'll accept it. It could be 6 weeks late, and you can still turn it in. The points will be deducted though, but some points are better than none, so there's always that. Plagiarism policy, very important for this course, especially because we will be doing a research paper. We will talk very in depth about plagiarism in the weekly modules as we start working on research. But just to be upfront about it right now, plagiarism is the intentional or accidental misrepresentation of someone else's work as your own. That could be using a friend's assignment. That could be using a little bit of information from a website and not citing it, or using a whole essay that you got off the internet. It can be a very small act of plagiarism. It can be a very big act of plagiarism. It will all result in the same thing though. You'll receive a 0. I like to give students the benefit of the doubt, and I like to give them second chances. So more than likely, I will ask you to redo that assignment, but then that's more time and energy that you have to put in on it at that point than if you had just haven't done it correctly the first time. When it comes to doing the actual research papers and making sure you don't commit plagiarism accidentally, we will go through how to make sure that you know how to summarize, paraphrase, and use direct quotes, and how you cite those sources. Even if you don't take it word for word, you still have to cite it. You still have to give credit to the original author's ideas, even if you aren't using their exact words. If they weren't your thoughts originally, your words originally, either way, you have to give credit. I expect all work for this course to be your own original thoughts and ideas. When it comes to the research paper, obviously you'll be using outside sources for that assignment, but that's it. That's the only one. All the other assignments in this course I expect to be your original ideas and thoughts, including the discussions and all the other smaller assignments that we do each week. Your original ideas, your original words. You should only be using outside sources for the course project research paper. And at that point, we will learn how to cite things properly. Okay? Alright. So, the last section of the syllabus is the methods for evaluating students. This just goes through each category of grading and what to expect from those. So the first one is, of course, the discussion forums. You'll have one of these each week for weeks 1 through 9. For this course, you can expect most of those discussions will involve reading and responding to a poem that you will not do any outside research for, that you will try to respond to totally on your own. There's specific questions that I ask, but try to do it totally on your own. The discussions are open from Monday to Sunday each week. You're going to try to get your first post up by Thursday night, and then you're going to respond to 2 of your classmates by Sunday night. Once the discussion closes Sunday night at 11:59 p.m., I cannot reopen it unless there are extreme extenuating circumstances. Okay? Those are worth a total of 15% of your overall grade. The next category are the exercises and assignments. This includes the journal for each week and then any other smaller assignments that are assigned in that module. The journal is actually a follow-up to the previous week's discussion. So, for instance, let's say in week 2, for week 2's discussion, you're going to read and respond to a poem that I've given you. In week 3, when you go to do journal 3, there will be a video where I explain the poem. And then I'll ask you to think about and write on a question, on a prompt that I've given you. Okay? Then there are also the smaller homework assignments that go along with each, the lessons that we're learning each week. Okay? Some of them might be required in a Word document. If you do not have access to Word or to software to do a PDF, again, there are instructions under the Getting Started section on how to use Google Docs. It's free. Some of the assignments will be text submission, where there's the text box and you just type your response right into the text box and submit it. I always let you know in the instructions, though, which one it is. All right? But that's how, the exercises and assignments work, and they are worth 25% of your overall grade. Then we have the course project. The course project is a formal research essay in APA format. There are 4 parts to it, right? Each part is mandatory and must be submitted in order to pass the class. You'll submit project part 1, get my feedback on it, and then you'll be allowed to move on to project part 2. You'll submit project part 2, get my feedback on it, and then you'll be permitted to move on to project part 3. And then same thing, you'll get feedback on part 3, and then you'll be fine to do part 4, which is the final draft of the research paper. You have to submit it and get my feedback, and you have to submit all of them in order to pass the course. The whole thing is worth 45% of your overall grade. This is the one assignment that needs to be typed in a Word document or a PDF. This is where Google Docs will come in handy for sure. I can make arrangements with you to submit assignments in other ways throughout the term, but the course project parts, especially part 4, which is the final draft, that needs to be formatted properly and submitted as the requirements state. Okay? Alright. Don't forget, all 4 parts are mandatory. You have to submit them in order to pass the class. Finally, we have the reflective essay. It will be in week 10. It's kind of like your final exam. I will kind of let you know how to prepare for that when we're in week 9. It will be available from Monday to Thursday of week 10 because it's the only graded item that's assigned in week 10. I don't open it early for you. You'll be able to prepare for it in a certain way, but it's only available in week 10. That way, if you are caught up on all the work for the course, you have at least one graded item that you still need to submit in week 10 to be counted present for week 10. It is due Thursday night of week 10. The course closes at that point. Nothing else can be submitted or accepted. Alright? It is also a mandatory component and must be submitted to pass the class. It is worth 15% of your overall grade. Okay? That will also need to be in a Word document, PDF, Google Doc, what have you. So those are the categories for grading, discussions, assignments, course project, reflective essay. Underneath this syllabus review subtab, the next subtab in week 1 is the course project overview. So those 4 project parts will be explained a little more when you go to that section for week 1. Right? The last page of the syllabus, page 9, is the acknowledgement page. You do not need to print that out or do anything with it. There is an assignment for week 1 where I ask you to type a sentence letting me know that you have looked over the syllabus and watched the video. So you do not need to pay attention to that syllabus receipt page. That's just part of the normal syllabus, so it gets included here when we put it online. But there's an actual assignment in week 1 where you will acknowledge the syllabus. Alright, so those are the highlights of the syllabus for this course. If you have any questions or concerns, feel free to let me know. Otherwise, you guys are good to move on to the next item.